Thank you, Governor. How many of you had the opportunity during your lunch break to see the values bus today? Several of you. Great. Well, we're going to talk about that now because it's really a fascinating phenomenon over this last year. The Your Money, Your Values, Your Vote Values Bus began its journey right here last October at the Values Voters Summit. Many of you may have seen it earlier today. You can also see it tomorrow from noon until 2. And in fact, there will be a news conference at 12:45, also featuring Senator Santorum at the Values Bus, talking about the alleged war on women. So you'll definitely want to be getting information about that. In a moment, you're going to hear from who we affectionately refer to as the Thelma and Louise of the Values Bus, two special ladies who logged in countless miles registering new voters, supporting good conservative candidates, and speaking out against the failed policies of this administration. But first, we'd like you to take a look at the monitors for kind of a year in review on the Values Bus. Let's watch together.
Not only do 92% of Americans say the economy is in bad shape now, 38% think it's getting worse, not better.
By all accounts, the biggest problems are Social Security and Medicare. As baby boomers retire, the nation faces tens of trillions of promised benefits the government cannot pay for.
A close look shows the bill is jam-packed with lawmakers' pet projects. Jam-packed. The Catholic faith says, as a matter of teaching, as a matter of faith, as a matter of dogma, we can't accept this.
Right.
And you can't ask us to choose between adherence to an unconstitutional, illegal law and our obedience to God.
History made in Washington State tonight as the biggest hurdle to gay marriage is passed.
George W. Bush limited funding for research on the grounds that using embryos was morally wrong and should not be funded by the government. In a sharp reversal from his predecessor, Barack Obama is clearing the way for federal funding of embryonic stem cell research.
There are about 60 million Christians who are eligible to vote, but people would be shocked. To conservative colleges with our Values Bus, partnering with the Heritage Foundation, we hope to take this message of your money, your values, your vote all across the country in key states where the elections could be decided by a handful of votes.
How do we get government back under control? What is appropriate spending for government? That's where heritage and our fundamental ideas come into play. That's where our whole plan of saving the American dream comes into play. That's why we're so excited and enthusiastic about telling the American people what's in that plan and having them tell their congressmen what it's all about.
We're simply giving a vehicle, so to speak, for people to express themselves, get involved in the process, register these like-minded voters to vote, and then turn them out on Election Day so we can make a difference and save the American dream.
So if we combine what we do on the economic side with what the Family Research Council does on the social side, and we put them together, we find out that they're really indivisible. You can't have a good economy if you don't have a solid social framework undergirding it. And if you've got a solid social framework, you have to have upward economic mobility. So the two really go hand in glove. And that's why it's so exciting to be able to partner with Tony Perkins and our good friends at Family Research Council and be able to do this bus tour all over the country.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the president of FRC Action PAC, Connie Mackey, and from the Heritage Foundation, Vice President of Marketing, Genevieve Wood.
Greetings, folks. I hope you're having a good time. Are you all ready to do everything you can in the next 58, is it 58 days? 55 days. Oh, how time does pass. Well, Tony Perkins and I and the staff at the Family Research Council decided last year at this event, and actually a little bit before, that we needed to do everything we could to change the change, if you will. And so what was that? What could we do beyond what we're doing? As you all know, the Political Action Committee at the Family Research Council worked very hard to bring 86 new members to the House of Representatives last time in 2010. They're doing a great job, but we need the Senate and we need the White House. And so we're talking to our friends at the Heritage Foundation. Of course, they're well known for their policy pieces on the economy, taxation, and we, of course, are working on the culture, and we worry about the status of the sanctity of life, and we worry about the status of marriages between one man and one woman. And we're very concerned about the challenges to religious liberty, and we've seen a lot of that in the last year. So what can we do besides our work in bringing good leaders to Washington? So we tried, and some of you have already heard this, some of you might have seen us out in these various states that we've been in. And we've talked about how the bus tour came together. And one of the reasons Tony said, let's do this for a year, I couldn't imagine it's become, I think it's really called, this bus tour is called Bed Bugs I Have Come to Know. Because it can be a little raunchy out there at times. But we had this bus tour that we had 3 judges in the state of Iowa. And these judges decided that the vote that the people in Iowa took on whether they wanted marriage to stay between one man and one woman, and they all voted, I think it was in the 70th percentile, to keep marriage between one man and one woman. But 3 judges said these people just read their Bibles, they carry guns, they don't know. So they overturned the will of the people. Well, we decided at that point to take a bus and go out to Iowa, and we plastered their pictures along on the side of the bus that you couldn't miss. And we took along 2 good friends, Congressman Louis Gohmert, who was Exhibit A. Yay, Louis. He was Exhibit A because he actually was a sitting judge. He knew that he shouldn't legislate from the bench, and so he stepped down, he ran for office, and he now legislates here in Washington, one of our best friends on the Hill. So he came out to Iowa on that bus tour, and of course, Congressman Steve King, another very, very good friend. They came with us, and then we also had Senator Rick Santorum and some other star power, and because of all of them being with us on that tour, we were able to garner about 250 media hits. By the end of our term, it was 5 days out there, when we left, and I should mention NOM, they were with us and partners with us as well, National Organization for Marriage. They were with us, and by the time we left that state, those 3 judges were gone. So the good news and maybe the bad news for some of us was Tony said we need to get out there. We need to take Family Research Council out and Heritage Foundation as partners, get out of D.C., go meet the people and start pushing for everyone, even if those who are registered, to help them find other people and make sure they get to the polls. Never has there been a more important election in this city, or in this country, excuse me, than it is now. Clearly, there's one thing that President Obama and Mitt Romney agree on, and that is that this country will be a very different place after November 6th. And how that difference is going to register, I don't think I even want to think about it if it goes one way. And we have hope of actually allowing the free market principles and to allow the culture to get back to some normal status. And we have hope that we can work hard and change things back if it goes the other way. And so we went out on the road, and we've been in, I think, 27 states so far, and the Family Research Council's part of the project was to partner with an organization that had actually set up a database where you put your zip code in and you can look up people who did not, and they're identified as Christians, conservatives, who didn't vote in 2008, and you can contact them. It's called ivotevalues.org, and you can go on our website to this day and take a look at it. And then our friends in Holland, Michigan, our other office, broadened out the program so that we've reached 250,000 people so far. We'll be going right up until November that are champions and helping us to do all that we can do on November 6th to make this change possible. I should say that you don't just do a bus tour by you got to get a bus, you have to get a staff, and then we look at each other and say, who's actually going to stay on this bus for a year? And so we did hire, and I don't know if he's in the audience, but we did hire Chris Bosch, a young gentleman from Holland, Michigan, and Chris has gotten an education. He has seen America, and he's worked with citizens out there to get them to sign up as values voters. And he's done a marvelous job out there. And home-based back here, and I don't know if she's in the audience here, but Kathy Flavin has come on board, and she is the coordinator of each of those. Every place we go is an event. It has to be coordinated just like an event. So Kathy Flavin, and then there is our bus driver, Scott Wilson, and if he's around, yay, Scott, that's all I can say. He's a... And Genevieve will talk briefly about the Heritage Foundation's project, which is something that, we're sort of looking on getting November 6th done to the way we need it to get done, and they're counting on us taking back the Senate. And they have legislation, which Genevieve will talk about, ready to go. And we've got good members on the Hill ready to launch the Save the American Dream legislation that Heritage is sponsoring and has written. And so I would just basically conclude by saying that each of you, I know, because you're here, you're already with us. You're already going to do everything you can. But do go to the ivotevalues.org website and see what part you might join with us in doing in time for the election. We at the Family Research Council have had some very trying times standing up for traditional marriage, and we need your help, and we've got to take those seats back in Missouri, in Indiana, in Virginia, I'm going to leave somebody out here, oh yeah, Ohio. In fact, the bus has been back to Ohio, I think 3 or 4 times, and we'll be back there again. There's an awful lot to be done. We're counting on you to do it. We're here to work with you on it. You go on that website, and our team in Holland will be working with you to identify voters that really need to turn out this time, that didn't turn out the last time. I think the figure we've been using is that there are 60 million Christians in the United States. 30 million didn't vote. And so that's why Tony said, get on the bus. We're going to do this. And I appreciate your time, and I hope we see you out there when we pull into one of the states that are scheduled to be in. God bless you all, and thank you.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. It is great to be back at the Values Voter Summit, and it's been great to be on the bus for the past 9 to 10 months with my good friend Connie Mackey and all the folks at FRC. It's kind of a homecoming a little bit for me because I used to work for Family Research Council before working for the Heritage Foundation. So being on the road and meeting members from both organizations and representing these two great groups has really been a privilege. And I do want to say it has been such an encouragement to those of us who both work at Heritage and FRC to meet folks all over the country who hold the values and champion the values that everybody in this room does. And I want you all to know they're out there. Maybe you guys already know this. Sometimes when we're in D.C. and you're kind of locked in the battles, you forget or you wonder, are people out there really paying attention? You question it and you watch your TV and you see all that's going on. You think, is anybody else as scared and as nervous about the future of the country as I am? Well, yes, they are. And they are in places like Ohio and Colorado and Florida and Pennsylvania and Michigan and so many of the places that we've been. So you should be encouraged by that. And I know you're seeing a lot of polls and things are up and down, and you've got the media saying, well, maybe it's not as close as we think. Ladies and gentlemen, do not believe it. Do not believe it. I'm telling you, the media would like you to get discouraged. They want you to think this election's already a done deal. It is nowhere near it. And I will tell you, I've never been so encouraged as I have been this year seeing what I've seen on the road. Have never been that encouraged. So we shouldn't get, a false optimism or say, well, we can just go home and say it's all done. But I want to tell you, I think if everybody in this room goes back to their communities and does everything they can do, and all the people that we've met along the way are doing the same thing, you are going to see very good things on November 6th. And one reason is because people are so fearful about the future of the country. And while fear is not something we want to encourage, fear is a great motivator. And when you talk to people that we've met, they are very fearful about the kind of country we're going to leave our children and our grandchildren. And are they worried about the debt? Absolutely. One of the reasons that we teamed up on this tour is because we believe that the principles our organizations represent are indivisible. Ed Fulner, our president, said it in the video. You are not going to have a strong economy if you don't have a strong families undergirding it. That's the foundation of our country. But it is very difficult to have a strong family and stand up for your family and take care of your family if you are crushed in debt and taxes. So we think all this goes together. And we also believe the debt that we've been piling up, and some of you I know were here last year, a lot of you. Values Voters always brings back a lot of good folks. So you heard us talking about something called Saving the American Dream, which was a plan that Heritage was put together to take on the debt, to take on spending, and to get the country turned back towards a road to prosperity. Well, when we were talking to you last year, we were under $15 trillion in debt. Now, you all know what happened this past week. We went over $16 trillion. And I'm just going to tell you how that breaks down for folks. Every man, woman, and child in this country of working age, so if you're 65 and younger in this country, anybody out there 65 and younger? Well, congratulations, you owe $200,000 today, based on promises our government has made as of today. Not based on the promises that Barack Obama made in his speech last week, or the promises that they'll make this week as they're trying to wrap up the Congress. That is, as of today, the promises our government has made to future generations. And ladies and gentlemen, promises they can't keep. And we all know that. And we know it is not sustainable, but you know what? It is immoral that we kind of debt on to the next generation. Absolutely wrong. But here's the good news, we can do something about it. As Connie mentioned, we have been working for the past year not only to put the ideas together, but working with members of Congress to say we want to see these ideas introduced into real policy, real legislation on the Hill. Not because we think anything else good is probably going to happen up on the Hill. Well, actually, maybe it's a good thing nothing is going to happen between now and the rest of the year in this year on the Hill. But the fact is, Senator Mike Lee of Utah, a great senator, introduced about 3 months ago now, back in May, his Saving the American Dream Budget Act. And you can read all about it on our Saving the Dream website. You can read about it on his website. But as I said, he's introduced it not thinking it's going to go very far this year, but laying the groundwork for what good things can happen come January and February and March of next year, when we actually get a new Congress and new conservatives in Washington. So November 6th is extremely important. But I will also say it can't stop on November 6th, right? How many of us have voted for folks in the past who said they were going to do great things and they got to D.C. or they got to the State House and didn't quite happen? Ladies and gentlemen, we're up against it as a country. And listen, both parties have been guilty. Let's be clear, President Obama has put the pedal to the metal in the last 3 years when it comes to spending, but Republicans and Democrats are both to blame for where we are today in terms of the trajectory of spending. They're there. Now, I said the good news is we've got some good folks who I think will do the right thing if they get elected, but they'll only do it, they'll only have the courage to do it if they hear from you. And that's the only way it's going to happen. So I want to share a couple things with you that I think show what the problem is and hopefully encourage you to encourage them when they get elected. Let me bring up the first slide here. Do you all see something on the screens there? See that big orange balloon? When I talk to my friends on the right and we talk about spending, they say, you know, if we just get rid of the Department of Education, if we just get rid of the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, we could fix this thing. And there's a lot of good reasons to do some of those things beyond just the spending factor. And when I talk to folks on the left, they say, we just got to get out of these wars. We need to stop giving so much money to the military. Ladies and gentlemen, we could do all of those things, and it would not fix our spending problem. And you can see that in this chart you see right here. The problem, the big elephant, so to speak, in the room is entitlements. And politicians are loath to touch it. They're loath to talk about it because they don't think voters will then reelect them. Well, we need politicians and lawmakers who are more concerned about the next generation than they are their next election. In our plan, Saving the American Dream, we talk about how do you take on entitlements? How do you reform it? You've got to start, first of all, by repealing Obamacare, first and foremost. You have to have serious tax reform, absolutely serious tax reform in the country. We've got to cut government spending, and if you enacted the Saving the American Dream plan, we would cut the size of the federal government in half over the next 20 years. And I think you all know why that is so important. We could balance the budget tomorrow, but if we don't get the government back to its constitutional role, if it continues to do what it was never created to do, it will continue to spend money it doesn't have. So we got to get back to the constitutional government, and Saving the American Dream would do that. Let me put up one other quick slide just to show you the path that we're on. Governor McDonald mentioned Greece earlier. People say, well, it could never happen to America what's happened in Greece. Really? Take a look at this. We're on our way. We have got to turn it around. And as I mentioned, the only way that I think that will happen is once you elect good people on November 6th, you hold them accountable when they get to D.C. So here's what I want to ask of you all. Senator Lee is introducing the Senate. We're going to have someone else introducing it in the House. But I want to encourage you all to take information about Saving the American Dream before you leave today, before you leave tomorrow. When you go out the back doors and now where the exhibit rooms are, the Heritage table is there. We have packets of information here that talk about the plan, talk about the specifics of it. And they have a packet of 5 of these in there. See this cute little sad little girl? Everybody knows somebody like this in their life or in their neighborhood. There's a packet of 5 of these in these bags that you can use to pass out to families, friends, folks at church, people who aren't going to read a 50-page budget document, but they'll read something like this. And it will help them understand, here is what we're up against. So I encourage you, if you've got other people you can give these to, take extras. These ideas are not overtly popular in Washington, so if you want to take extras, it will do us. We don't need them here. We need them to get out there, right? And that's why we've done the bus tour, and that's why I encourage you to take more of these. And when you do, sign our pledge card to Save the American Dream, because not surprisingly, when we walk into a member's office and they know that we've been talking to folks outside of Washington, they just pay a little bit closer attention. I want to do the same thing Connie did as I close and thank the folks from the Heritage Foundation who've put this bus tour together. I see one in the very back, Keisha Bullock standing back there, Laura Barger on our staff, Josh Shepard, Tara Warren. They have been Look, it's been fun to be on the road, don't get me wrong, but there have been a lot of Super 8 motels from time to time that we have had the pleasure of staying in, and they've been, well, I wouldn't say they use the word ruthless per se, but they have been so dedicated in making sure that we're meeting folks on the road and getting these materials. So I want to say a very, very special thanks to the staff who've done that. And Scott Wilson, our driver, let me tell you something, that guy's a rock star. He is amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. And I want to say on behalf of both organizations, for those of you who donate to Heritage and have given money to FRC, you've made this effort possible. So when you see good things happen on November 6th, thank you for what you've done to make it possible, to make it happen. Thank you very much, and we look forward to saving the American dream with all of you.